number 2, Richard Lane. Canister number 3, Alicia Cook. We will now begin the speech evaluation process. In order for your evaluation process to be complete, we need someone to speak for us. Please help me welcome to the lectern, Ivan Conway. Ivan Conway.
Can you imagine little Johnny? He's 5 years old. He's so excited. He's been practicing all summer, and he wants his parents to see what he has learned. He races down the diving board, and he goes to do a somersault, and bam! He hits his head on the side of the diving board, and he goes into the pool. He starts to drown, but then all of a sudden he swallows some water, and he's coughing. His dad sees it. He runs over to the side of the pool. He jumps into the pool to save his son. He grabs his son out of the water, puts him on the side of the pool, and he's still swallowing water. Finally, his mom comes over. She embraces him. He calms down, and he stops coughing. His mom looks at him, and she says, "Son, don't do that. You could really hurt yourself." His dad says, "Son, don't run on the diving board. You could get killed." So the family calms down. They get on the side of the pool. They relax. Everything is going fine. Just enjoying the sun. Everything's going okay. But then, all of a sudden, little Johnny gets back up on the diving board. He runs down it. He goes to do a somersault, only this time he doesn't slip. And he does a perfect somersault, just like a junior Olympian. What just happened? Little Johnny almost had a near-death experience. And less than an hour later, he was right back up on the pool. What compelled him to do that? Many of us in this room have faced similar setbacks. For example, perhaps you had a failed marriage or relationship, and you were really hurt. And now you're saying, no one will ever get that close to me again. I'll never get hurt like that. Or perhaps you had a business venture that failed. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. And now you've given up on your dreams. Or perhaps you have a medical condition. And you've been so frustrated that you've given up looking for the solution. And now you just go around telling everybody who will listen to you about all your aches and your ills. Research has shown that Americans are trying to improve in these 3 categories. You're trying to improve your health, improve relationships, or increase your finances. So if this is true, why aren't more of us successful? Could it be that we're sitting on the side of the pool and letting our feet dangle in the water instead of getting back up on the diving board like little Johnny and taking the plunge? Speaking of little Johnny, by the way, what state of mind was he in to do what he did? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. Scientific research has identified several different brain waves that we're in. And fortunately for us, we know the exact state of mind that little Johnny was in. We know exactly how he was thinking and what he was thinking about. And the good news is, we as adults, we can duplicate that brain wave, that state of mind, and we can come back and bounce back from any setback that we might have. As background, there are 5 basic brain waves. Gamma, which is when we're thinking very fast, genius thoughts, we have brilliancies. Beta, where we are right now, I'm talking to you, you're listening. Anytime you're taking notes or you're thinking logically, you're in the beta brain wave. There's alpha, where you go into meditation and you have deep relaxation. And there's theta. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. And then there's delta. Delta is where you're sleeping, you're just out. Little infants are always in delta, and that's why you see them a lot of times. They're just sleeping all the time. You go by and you visit your newborn nephew or newborn niece, or you have a child that young, they're always sleeping because they're in the delta brain wave. We're going to focus on theta. Have you noticed how easily and how much imagination that little children have. They'll believe anything. Santa Claus, Spider-Man, Superman, they just take it in. That's because they're in the theta brainwave, and in the theta brainwave, you don't have any logic. You just have your thought life, whether you believe or you don't believe. And if you believe, it's great to be a kid. You don't have to have any logic to support what you're doing. And with that, what we need to do is we need to get into that theta brainwave where we can see life just like little children. In the Bible, over and over, it talks about you must become like a little child. You must become like a little child to accept the kingdom of heaven. And I think that it's talking about more than just childlike faith. I think that Jesus was telling us that we need to actually become like little children in what we attempt to do. When you're in the theta brainwave, you have no limitations. You can accomplish whatever you want. And that when the adults are in the theta brainwave, that's how they come up with inventions like the airplane or computers. Can you imagine sitting somewhere and you're thinking of a radio? If you told somebody about that, they think you're absolutely off your rocker. There was no radio or computer. You just imagine what you want, and then you work out how it's going to happen. Well, you may say, well, if theta is so great, how do we get to that stage as adults? Well, unfortunately, this speech is only 7 minutes. So the full discussion of the theta brainwave is outside the scope of this speech. But what I would like to tell you is that early next year, we are going to be coming out with a system that will allow you to use your theta brainwave and maximize your potential. But I would like to tell you this in closing. Just like little Johnny, don't let your past influence your thinking, but rather let your thinking shape your future. Remember that whatever you think about, you bring about. And a wise man once said, if you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win, but you think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out in the world we find success being what the fellows will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late, the one who wins is the one who thinks he can. Madam Contest Master.
We will now give our speech evaluation contestants 5 minutes to complete their evaluations. Will the designated sergeant announce, please escort the contestants out of the room in time 5 minutes for the beginning when they are seated in the sequestered room. And when that 5 minutes is over, please escort our first contestant back to this room.
Slower. Slow. You notice? Practice that.
Thank you. While the evaluation contestants complete their evaluations, we will get to know our test speaker. So please help me welcome Ivan Conway back to the lectern. How long have you been in Toastmasters?
4 years.
And what club are you representing?
Nissan Toastmasters.
Just one quick question. Will you explain how changing your thoughts can help you or help someone else? This is from your heart. Just quick.
Changing my thoughts has allowed me to do this because before I would have never even attempted to be a test speaker. And it's helped me grow. tremendously. And anybody who changes their thoughts, your world will change. That's a quote from Norman Vincent Peale, but it's true. Very true. Change your thoughts, change your world. Norman Vincent Peale, very true.
What did you do that speaking today?
I want to improve my speaking ability, and I was studying and researching about how we make changes and improve. And I started looking at children and how they come back from anything, they'll bounce right back. And I was wondering, was that just because they were ignorant of what could possibly happen to them? And the more I researched, the more I found out it was just that they have a different brain life than adults. Adults are in Theta, they're in Theta. But if you go to Theta, you can imagine things just like Theta. Thank you very much.
At this time, Diana Carter will come and give us some explanation about the coming district conference.
Promotions, come on. Mary is your district governor. I'm sure you know that. I am the district rep today, but I'm not letting her get off the hook. But we got something to tell you about. There's a little brochure, a little flyer on your table, so make sure you take that, take it back to your club. Look at some things that you might be anxious to be involved in with your club. The score big is completed, but now, tell me about this, each one. Everyone, right, okay.
Okay, this is a promotion that is to help encourage membership growth in your club. And so the promotion is each one bring one, meaning each of you should bring a guest to your meeting. And the club that gets the most new members for the time period of October and November will win a $50 TI gift certificate for their club.
Friends, co-workers, family, husbands, enemies.